Hello everyone, it's Johnny Catrue, and in today's video it's my first listen to the new Animal Collective album called Time Skiffs. Animal Collective are an American experimental pop and psychedelic pop band now in their third decade together. I got into them back in 2005 or 6 when I was about 17 years old, when my good friend Sean lent me their new album at the time, Feels. And while I did really enjoy the catchiness of some songs like Did You See the Words and The Purple Bottle, I was pretty intimidated by the strangeness of the album, and especially some of the more shocking elements like Avey Tare's screaming on grass. But I slowly came around, and by the time 2007's Strawberry Jam came out, I was enjoying their earlier, even stranger albums as much as their new lush and melodic material. By the time 2009's Merriweather Post Pavillion came out and brought a whole new level of attention to the band, I was a full-blown fan and seeing the band live every chance I got. I do get a little extra emotional from this just because of all the memories I have attached to it. Friends I miss so much, you know. I also adored their visual album, ODDSAC, that came out around that time, which I think is really underappreciated. I've followed everything they've released ever since then, both as a band and as solo projects. And while I haven't loved everything they've put out in the last decade, I continue to be amazed by how they evolve and present brand new ideas with every release. This new album is their first one together as the full 4-piece lineup since 2012's Centipede Hz, I think. And I've really enjoyed all the singles leading up to this one, so I'm excited for it. The rest of this video will be highlights from my live stream over on Twitch, where I listened to this new album in full for the first time. And you can follow me over there on Twitch if you'd like to join us for some listening parties. So do me a favor and click the like button on this video, and let's get into the album. Track 1 has the incredibly prog rock title of Dragon Slayer. Production sounds a world away from Painting With. Animal Collective go power metal, Dragon Slayer. That's lovely. Great start. I love the fact that they sound like a live band again on this new material. You know, they kind of did on Centipede Hz, which was 10 years ago now, but it feels like it's been a long time since we heard Animal Collective, the band, sounding like a live natural group. And I really feel that on this, especially thanks to Panda Bear's drumming. The drum sounds he's working with are very natural timbres and not too manipulated. But then you've got all these different sounds coming out over the top. I mean, it's incredibly layered. But unlike Centipede Hz, it does feel like there's a lot of breathing room. Wonderful production and lovely layers of sounds. And you've got so many great composition ideas in there as well. I wouldn't say it's the catchiest song on the whole. It was a lot to take in, but everything I was catching was so enjoyable and so nice on the ears. On to track 2. It's called Car Keys. Wow. Holy shit, guys. I'm loving this. Love the atmosphere here. Very nice. Oh man, I'm very pleased so far. I loved that one. Their production hasn't sounded this lush and beautiful since Merriweather Post Pavillion, and yet it doesn't sound like Merriweather because it's so much less electronic. It sounds so much more natural and organic. I love how many sounds they're utilizing in these songs as well. Like, it's like every single line one of them plays is with a whole different sound. So in every phrase you get about 6 different sounds, which could make for a messy listen. But I don't know, the way it's produced, there's so much space in it that it just ends up sounding so beautiful and nice melodies. I've still got the harmony part where I think Panda Bear's providing harmonies in the chorus there stuck in my head, so that's a great sign. Track 3 was the first single. It's called Prester John. Avey Tare on bass guitar in this one as well. mixing the two melodies together now. Got a classic Animal Collective texture improv here, featuring Geologist on the hurdy-gurdy. Wonderful song. I was so pleased with that song when it came out as the first single. I remember on my first listen, I did find it a little overly simplistic, perhaps. I felt that the simple melodies were repeated a little too much. But for whatever reason, after a couple listens, I just would get more into the feeling of it. And the way that the song slowly rises, you know, that's what sells it for me. I feel like the band is really operating without ego at this point. Sometimes, especially when it was the four-man band on Centipede Hz, for example, it might feel sometimes like each member of the band was screaming with their instrument to be heard and like putting their sound in as loud as possible, that kind of thing. But on that song in particular, it really feels like the band is in sync and just providing their strength with restraint just to make a beautiful song with a wonderful atmosphere. And it works so well. The next song was the last single, the third single they put out from it. This is track 4. It's called Strung With Everything. Sounds like that classic Avey Tare Panda Bear harmony. There's something very Strawberry Jam about this part though. Love this, so dynamic. Sick drumming! I do think I enjoy the second half more than the first half. It just gets so much more exciting, but the drumming is such a highlight for me in that track. Panda Bear sounding like Ringo on Revolver or something. Yeah, sounds fantastic. And especially the way that it has those really dynamic sections where it's going quieter and quieter and then loud again, and it all sounds really organic and natural. Like it's not just quiet by turning down the volume and then turning it up again. It's they all play and sing quietly and then they all play and sing loud, and you feel it in your gut. Really catchy, really memorable, beautiful, great harmonies, that lush production working so well for it again. So track 5 was the second single. It's called Walker, and it's a tribute to the late Scott Walker. Definitely a Panda Bear composition, this one. Love the xylophone sounds. They've popped up in a few songs. That ending sounds like it could have come from one of their more freeform sessions that they used to do more in the early days, or from one of their like live improvisations that they would do a lot. Yeah, when I first heard that single, it was the one I was least impressed with. I thought it was a bit overly simple, but it's grown on me a lot. All right, track 6 is called Cherokee. More of this kind of natural, organic texture building. Ooh. Those natural tom-toms sounding very feels. Wow, this sounds wonderful. Saxophone? More wonderful atmospheres. At the start of that song, I did feel that maybe they were starting to repeat themselves slightly. It felt atmospherically similar to Prester John, but I was liking it. It was okay, but by the time we got to that point, about a third through the song where it really switched up, it really went to another level, and that middle section was fantastic. More really brilliant use of all three of the lead singers, you know, weaving in and out of each other. Avey Tare would be singing lead and Deakin doing counter melody around it, and then Panda Bear coming in with a harmony. Wonderful, really great. The song started off sounding like it might be one that I was less into, but by halfway through it was one of my favorites as well. Track 7 is called Passerby. This reminds me of some of my favorite stuff in ODDSAC, something dark about it. This drum sound is so nice. Great use of the bass guitar there. Seems dub influenced. Nice. nice. I really liked the darker atmosphere of that one in both the melody and some of the sounds. It felt almost swampy, which was, a nice change from some of the... Although I think the swampiness showed up in stuff like Prester John, Cherokee a little bit before, but it just sounded a little bit murkier than some of the other songs, and that felt cool. I did think that compositionally it was maybe a bit weaker. I felt that the melody that Avey Tare repeated a lot got a bit old, but still more excellent production, more very nice drumming. I mean, the sound of the drums is just lovely, but the way Panda Bear is playing them as well reminds me of some reggae or dub music. I love the fact that they seem to have new, fresh ideas on each track. Track 8 is called We Go Back. I think this one has been released as a fourth single, but I haven't heard it. Here we go. Nice. That was a really tight and exciting track that only lasted about 2 minutes, and then it just got torn apart and became like a spread out version of itself in the final 2 minutes. I thought that song actually was the most similar to their last album, Painting With, compared to everything else here. It was very thick, heavy on the intertwining melodies, much less space in that first half than on the rest of the album. If it were on Painting With, it would be one of the best tracks on the album, I think. Really exciting, really memorable. I was really into all the vocal parts. The vocal manipulations remind me of Panda Bear's last solo album, Boys, where he was doing a lot of that kind of electronic manipulation of his voice, a lot more. It does mean that song kind of stands out on this album as a lot less organic in general, but it just means that it has its place, I think, and it's still a really exciting song that I was really into. Maybe the ending was a bit less interesting, but still, I think it worked. And yeah, that means we're on the last song, everyone. This is track 9, and it's called Royal and Desire. Love this slightly jazzy style. Deacon on lead vocals, everyone. Beautiful. Sailing off into the night, right? Wonderful vocal from Deacon. What a perfect last track. Absolutely beautiful. Deacon's lead vocal performance I'm extremely impressed with. He sounded so soulful on that one, which I feel like is a somewhat unique aspect for him to bring to the band. Because, they're all great singers in their own way. Avey Tare has a kind of rock intensity, a punk intensity he brings a lot of the time. Panda Bear, this sweet, almost classical, but very Beach Boys influenced sound. Deacon, somewhere in between, I've always felt he falls, but on there, as I say, he brought in this really soulful element, very emotional, and I loved it. The atmosphere of the track was excellent, which is something I can say of the whole album. Really well put together, and again, it's this kind of leaving aside of the egos and just all of them working together to do what's best for the music. Yeah, I really feel that on this whole album. Lovely way to go out. I'm so happy with this album. I really couldn't be happier, actually. As a really long-time fan of the band, it feels like it brings together so many things they've done in the past while also pushing things forward in unique, interesting ways. And it feels like all of the members have taken what they've been doing in their solo projects and brought it to the table. It feels like they've all got something to contribute, and they're all there for it. They're all helping each other realize their visions. And isn't that a wonderful thing? Especially after Painting With, which felt so claustrophobic, this album feels so fresh and open. The band had so many ideas. It could have resulted in a unreadable mess, potentially. But as I say, because they seem to have worked so well together here, instead you've got this really strong album bursting with ideas, strong track after strong track, so many wonderful melodies and just great performances and beautiful production. And I'm overjoyed. as a fan of the band, I love this, but I would honestly recommend this to anyone, even someone who has never heard Animal Collective. I feel they could really get into this. It's just so easy to enjoy. So let me know what you think of this album down in the comments. And if you missed the stream and want to see my full unedited reaction, you should check out my Patreon. You can find the link in the description, and whichever tier you support me at, you'll get access to the full archive of unedited reactions, and you'll be helping me to keep my channels going and to be able to keep making these videos, so I'll really appreciate it. Thanks so much to all my current supporters on Patreon, and thank you very much for watching. Until next time, take it easy.